You are listening to Why Such a Fuss podcast, sponsored by CVG Solutions, with your host, Cristina Vanini-Goodchild, and guests.
Today I am joined by Luke Beckley, Picasso Award winner, mentor and specialist in all things data compliance and AI. A very welcome to you, Luke, and congratulations on your Picasso Award.
Good afternoon, Cristina. Thank you very much indeed. What a wonderful intro. That was fantastic. I'm very humbled by that.
Glad you like it.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it was great. Thank you very much. Yeah, I was as shocked as everybody else, I think, that I picked up the award. So, yeah, I wasn't quite expecting it.
But, enjoy it, make the most of it. You've deserved it. So that's great.
Thank you. That's the plan for the next 12 months at least. So, yeah,
so no pressure on my side now. I need to win it.
Don't worry, I'll get my nomination in. I'll write it in the style like you just said through like my post. So I'll do that.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. So anyway, what we're here to discuss today, I think, is something that we discussed. We talked about this before, even with you. Yeah. We're very passionate about this particular subject, and we come across it in our line of work with our clients, networking, etc. And what there is that, obviously I'm making a bit of a generalization here, but in large organizations, when it comes to GDPR, they seem to be focusing, maybe not all of the effort, but most of the effort into the technical security measures, in particularly cybersecurity.
Correct.
I'm sure you come across this as well, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the thing is, there's a sexiness about cybersecurity, right? There's this whole, and all the films that kind of make hacking look like a really cool thing, and therefore how a company's kind of securing against it. And actually, that seems to have driven this prominence of information security as effectively the only thing that's required in data protection, when of course we know that that's not the case. There's a couple of clauses in a couple of articles that talk about technical measures, and that's where the cybersecurity and information security bit fits in.
Yeah,
it's almost like the rest of it then is not redundant, but is missed, is massively overlooked by organizations, because if you look after your data correctly and structure it, classify it, make sure that you get rid of data that you no longer need, you reduce the attack surface massively. But that seems to get overlooked. It seems to be the money filters into what's the new latest tools, how do we kind of start protecting our environments, or our Azure instances, or our AWS, or whatever it might be. And then the actual structure and culture and ethics and the principle application is not funded correctly, as we know. Right?
Yes, but also a data breach is not just caused by hackers.
Agreed.
An employee that sends an email to the wrong recipient, that is a data breach. You can have as much security that you want, as much cybersecurity. It will never prevent that.
No.
So that is through training, to awareness, understanding. And I think the other thing that also misleads, sort of an organization that is the name data protection.
Yes.
I think that it's misleading because, it's not just about the protection of the data. Do you know what I mean? It's not about the security. It's about, the rights, the lawful basis, the principles, like you said, the accountability, and I can go on and on.
Yeah. And I think we've had this, we've met at various conferences, Privacy Space particularly. We get into great conversations with all of our other wonderful colleagues in this area, and talk about that very thing, the terminology of data protection, right? The label of data protection whether we like to admit it or not, you utter those words in a company, and it's like, you get the eye roll, you get the almost like the little pat on the head. Yeah, we take it seriously, and yet we do nothing about it. And then someone comes along and says, "Oh, we can implement Netscope and we can check how many calls we've got to AI websites," and everyone's like, "Oh my god, that's amazing! Let's get that in and spend hundreds of thousands of pounds or more." And yet all the data still sat in a complete mess, in a complete nightmare, probably not in any compliant way, because you're over retaining, or you've collected data that potentially you didn't have a lawful basis. All of those elements are ignored. And there's got to be, I think we keep having a conversation. How do we rebrand data protection? Is it, and I'm starting to talk about data intelligence, right? Because I think that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to say it's a restriction on how you use data. We're saying be intelligent about the way that you are collecting, processing, managing, retaining, protecting, or and then ultimately utilizing for the benefit of the goals and the mission of the organization. In relation to its customers and the people that you're processing that data about.
And you're right, because actually I don't think of the GDPR as, as a data protection. I think of GDPR as a framework on how, is giving an organization, anyone, a framework on how to use, store, delete, whatever, their data. It's giving you guidelines, it's giving you, as I said, principles to align with. So actually, organizations should embrace it because it gives them a structure. Rather than, oh, are we doing this right? Oh, how long should we keep this? Oh, you know what? I might need this at some point. I'm going to keep it. It gives them that sort of structure, that framework, with a lot of room for maneuver, because the GDPR is based on principle, not rules. So it doesn't tell you, you can't do this, you can't do that. It gives you principles, it gives you guidance. And so actually, I think that's really good. So maybe that's what we should call it, data framework, or I don't know, data intelligence framework.
But it is, and I think, I feel the equal frustration, like I'm sure you do, because even when you start talking about data protection, you get into a conversation, the focus is predominantly on the misunderstanding about lawful basis. So everyone automatically leans towards consent. Do we have permission for you to use that data? And the focus becomes about that, rather than how are we applying the principles of the GDPR to our organization in order to facilitate innovation, progress, meeting our goals, ensuring we kind of like look after the rights of the individuals for whom we're processing that data. Like, are we really, organizations always talk about putting the customer first. You're like, well, are you really? Because if you are, then you'd be applying the principles across your entire data collection process,
exactly. And if you are, then you would have no issue in being transparent, following the principle of transparency, and you would spend time and effort in creating a privacy notice that is meaningful, that is not just be simply downloaded from somewhere or copy and pasted, So and one of the other things that I've also come across some time ago, I did an ISO 27001 course. I just wanted to get a bit of an understanding. I didn't want to become, an auditor or what they call implementer. I just wanted to understand it and how it aligned, to data protection. And it was very, interesting. But one of the things that I remember sort of asking him is, how does, the information security sort of standards align with data protection? So, and the answer was that, so he was talking about policies, and so we're saying, well, actually, then you have an information security policy, and then data protection sits underneath it. Don't think so.
Exactly that. That's it. And you have this information security management system, right? It's the ISMS. And you're like, but that's all focused on technical measure, right?
Yeah.
Technical policy. What's your bring your own device policy? What's your acceptable use policy in relation to the equipment that you use and the way, not how are you applying the principles of data minimization, right?
No. Yeah.
Where does that sit? It doesn't sit, so there's the accountability framework that kind of but that, again, back to the original starting point of this conversation, it's not sexy enough. It's not like ISMS, right, which kind of is information security.
Yeah.
You start talking about ICO accountability framework in relation to data protection, and people are like, oh no. and that's that battle that I think we still find ourselves in.
Yeah.
What are we on now? 8 years, 6, 7 years since implementation, but effectively 9 years since it actually became
law,
legislation. So
but what it's really interesting because those organizations that actually are open-minded to understand more, at least the one that I've worked with, and once they start working with them and they start understanding how it all fits together, you can actually see and hear the pin drop.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting.
That realization, the kind of light bulb type scenario.
Yes. Yes. So then they start on this, and then that's when they want to do more work, and that's when they sort of really sort of feel like, oh wow, I can really boast about it, and actually quite cleverly, they're using it as part of their USP, which then helps them to win contracts, and so on and so forth. They're not scared if a client wants to do a due diligence on them, because they know that they can demonstrate, they know what the client is going to be doing, what they're going to be talking about, asking, and so on and so forward. So the way I see it, as a visual picture, I'm seeing it sort of like, like a temple, you got, that like triangle. So that's the data protection regulation. And then underneath you have all of those columns. And those columns, one of them is security.
Yeah.
Another one is the lawful base. Another one, is the principle. Another one is the rights of the individual, and so on and so forth. That's sort of, as a visualization, that's how I see it. So actually, data protection is the umbrella that sits above all of that. So no matter how much security you've got, if that's all you got, you're not going to be compliant.
Back to your point, right? If you haven't driven a culture, a data first culture in your company, and back that up with not constant but like frequent training and awareness, not just doing the tick box annual kind of like we've done our GDPR training, that is not sufficient. You will find, we've been in those scenarios, people have downloaded some data and now they're sticking it in AI tools. They're sticking it in their personal account AI tools because they don't understand the risks associated now to this new tool set available to us. And you're like, as breaches go, that could be catastrophic. And what they've done is just try and save time, be efficient with their processing, but there's no information security that's going to effectively stop that if you've not thought about the risk management of that. So there's the risk management piece as well that kind of is part of that temple pillar, or as a foundational, its foundations maybe. I don't know trying to visualize it with you, but the risk management piece is crucial as well, alongside all that. Not just what is our information security risk, what is our data posture, kind of like what is our data risk here that encompasses all of those columns, like you said.
And also, so thinking, due to in the current climate, because of the the economy the way it is, more and more employers are not recruiting, and unemployment has increased because of that, or they are actually making people redundant. And so I think that what we're going to be seeing going forward, unless the economy all of a sudden improves, but it's assuming it doesn't, that organizations are going to invest in more and more into automation, digital transformation, process automation, which why shouldn't they? Do you know what I mean? Absolutely, go for it. You need to survive. But that goes back to our point in terms of the data. If you have rubbish data that you're going to put into the digital, the new tool, you're going to get rubbish out.
Correct.
So data quality, data cleansing, data retention is absolutely critical to ensure that whatever automation you're introducing is going to be fit for purpose, going to work, and the data that you're going to be working with is being quality checked.
Yeah.
So again, that is part of data protection.
Exactly. Exactly that. And people, I still like, I started in data analytics over 30 years ago, and even then, it was obvious that if you don't have good quality data going in, what you would find, especially in those earlier days, was you could walk into a meeting and people would say they've produced reports and outputs from the same data set, and you've got 4 different answers in a room, right? And it's because no one's set the rules, no one's understood the quality of the data, no one's checked the quality of the data, and then suddenly people have interpreted it in their own way without, like you said, any guidance from principles and standards.
Yeah.
And now you've got complete, like, what you've wasted a whole heap of money trying to get to an answer that 4 different people have given.
And also a waste of a meeting, because you can't make informative decision because the data that you got in front of you, is not accurate. You don't know which one is which. How can you make an informative decision based on that?
That's it.
So that will impact management as well, not just the delivery of the service or the product with your clients, but also the leadership that has to make those decisions.
Yes, exactly. But again, they will see that as an analytics problem rather than a data protection and data quality problem. They'll say, is it the tools that's the problem? Are you not building the data model correctly? So they'll start picking back through like the chain, but never get to the fundamental, which is actually, if you just start with getting your data model, your data structures right, your data foundations, everything flows from that, right? But and it also then helps you understand what information security measures you require and need, not let's just try and get the latest technology in and boil the ocean to try and protect a set of data that actually we've got no idea whether it's any use to us or not. But let's spend thousands and thousands of pounds protecting stuff that might actually be useless because you don't know.
And actually, to your point, if you invest time and effort in cleansing and having your data, up to date, you're then actually going to avoid spending, like you said, thousands of pounds in tools that probably, they're the wrong tool or you don't need them. Do you know what I mean? So you're actually saving yourself money as well. Okay, so I think, Luke, we are going to set ourselves on a mission to
Love that. Let's do it.
to generate awareness on this topic.
Yes.
And we are planning a free webinar in the new year, so in 2026. And we are going to be sending out some announcement shortly with the information on how to register. So please keep an eye out. Luke, it's been an absolute pleasure to having you, and hope that you come back soon. I love your jumper, by the way.
Thank you so much. It is festive. I've gone a little bit festive, but yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to have a conversation with you. We always love chatting to each other. We always laugh lots, which is great. But in seriousness, we're really looking forward to sort of just trying to drive home that data foundation, quality, data intelligence message, so that organisations get it.
Yes, because it's really important for them to understand this and not cut themselves short, because they're not doing themselves any favors, or by not understanding the bigger picture.
More money. It costs more money in the long run. Do it right first time, everything is much smoother. Absolutely. Don't do that. You're unpicking. You start unpicking in isolation rather than fixing the fundamental problem. And that is a massive cost to every organization.
Yes, yes. Luke, would you like to share with our audience how they can get in touch with you should they wish to do so?
Yeah, please find me on LinkedIn. So Luke Beckley on LinkedIn. I'm probably one of very few on there that's Luke Beckley, so you'll probably find me on there as well. My website is www.dcharmonized.com. We can probably put a link into that somewhere. Yeah, just reach out to me on either of those channels. And I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody at any time, as you well know.
Fantastic. Thank you, Luke. And if any of you would like to get in touch with me, you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search for CVG Solutions or visit my website, cvgsolutions.co.uk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.